will. Thank you. It's 6 o'clock. Our first order in our work session tonight is discussion of the agenda items. City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. Before we start on the agenda, I would like Bart to introduce our new field house manager. Craig Brasfield is here. Bart, if you would.
Thank you. I want to take the opportunity to welcome Craig Brasfield. He's our new field house general manager. Craig started with us yesterday, and we started the transition process with Just Balls, and so far it's going very well. Craig joins us after a long and illustrious career in independent baseball, most notably being the general manager of the Fort Worth Cats and the Granbury Airhogs here locally. I know he's going to do great things for us, and welcome on board.
Thanks. Very excited to be here. I want to thank Kevin and Bart and the rest of the committee members, search committee members that bestowed this opportunity on me. I'm really excited to get in and get going, chomping at the bit, hopefully get in to make a difference and get to know everyone. And at this point, doing a lot of listening and observing, but time will tell us, and we'll get in there and make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, Council, Mayor and Council, on the agenda tonight, the first item of business will be the canvass of the election and the oaths of office. So there's a resolution to canvass the returns. I think Mary has provided you those results. And then following that will be the swearing in of the newly elected council members. Tonight on the consent agenda then, we have the minutes for the May 3rd, 2016 regular meeting. Item 4B is a resolution authorizing the annual procurement of water meters with master meter. This is a cooperative purchasing agreement with the city of Fort Worth. And this allows us to purchase water meters throughout the year as part of our replacement program to replace older water meters. Generally, we try to replace, we're replacing about 500 meters a year, and those are the older meters. The meters that we buy are compatible with the radio read, to put a radio read device on there. So we're working towards getting all of our meters to that capability. This is within the budgeted amount.
Yeah, and when we talked about budgeting, we also talked about how it would save the city money.
Correct. With the new water meters, the newer meters are going to be more accurate, so that will more accurately read the water usage, which allows us to bill more accurate.
Well, once we go through the phase and we phase in all of the new meters, then it will just be the connection back the equipment to work with the meters.
Well, right now we don't have any of the radio read equipment, or the next generation essentially is the AMI, or the automatic meter. Automatic was an automated meter infrastructure, which would include your software and things like that. We have had a preliminary discussion with a company about it to look at that. There's a big cost that goes along with that. Typically, there's usually savings then over the years, so you recoup that. But we just started having some initial discussions to get some ideas from them. But if we go that route, which I think is something that we should do in the next couple of years, it would allow the water system to be more like what you're used to with your electric delivery system, so that you can go online, you can look at your usage day by day, you can look at it hour by hour. It helps customers with the ability to know if they have a leak. They can see what their usage is over a week or over a day, even, to see where they may be able to cut back. So there's a lot of benefits from the customer standpoint with the AMI technology. So we're not there yet, but we're trying to position ourselves to be in that role.
I believe DeSoto has a technology similar to that, in where they have a tower located in a certain part of the city, and they can read within a radius of that tower from that central office.
And Cedar Hill has gone to the AMI, and the company that they use is the company that we talked to get some initial information.
say the new water meters coming up would be in Hollywood Park?
That is the oldest meters right now, so it'll probably be the Hollywood Park area that we're trying to get to replace those. And some of those are the ones too, because they're older, they don't have the collars on them for the radio capability.
So the size of Hollywood Park, is that something that we could change in 1 year, or is that?
Dan,
I would think that probably, with us starting on it now, that's the next thing up, that it probably would take somewhere near a full 12 months to get through it. So the swing around to about this time next year.
We're talking about 500, and how many homes are over now? Are there 500 homes in Hollywood Park?
I don't know exactly, but there's a lot. Probably more than that.
Okay.
The next item is a resolution authorizing procurement of sanitary sewer system manhole rehabilitation services, and this is with In Situ Form Technologies. And this is through a local government purchasing agreement or buy board. What In Situ Form Technologies does is they essentially apply a spray application or coating to the interior of manholes. The older manholes that are brick and mortar tend to crack and have leakage in, so you have groundwater inflow through those cracks into the sewer system. That groundwater infiltration is similar to what we have infiltration in our older sewer lines. And so all of that water that goes into the sewer system then in heavy rainfall is what causes the sanitary sewer overflows that we've had. But even without that problem, it's also adding to the amount of water that we're sending to TRA for treatment, and we're paying for that, but not recouping cost on the other side of that, because it's not water that we're charging for. So we're not recovering a cost, but we're paying more for it. So anything we can do to stop infiltration saves us money in the long run, and this is a good way to do that, to rehab our older manholes through this technology. So this will do about 50 manholes in a year, and this is within the budgeted amount. And that is all of the items on the consent agenda. On the regular agenda, the first item, 5A, is a public hearing and an ordinance to consider a special use permit for a church to amend the existing LR2 or local retail zoning. This is for the retail shopping center at the corner of Clark and Camp Wisdom Road. And the P&Z recommended approval of this. Since P&Z meeting and within your packet, there have been 2 letters of opposition that were received.
Susan,
Yes, ma'am.
3 years ago, we were told that we could not vote, because of the Supreme Court case, we could not vote against a church at all. And I want to know if the law has changed since then to allow us to vote against a church.
That's an excellent question, and I can answer it. I'm not sure whether we want to go into executive session to discuss that, because it is legal advice to the city. So I'm familiar with the issues that you're identifying, and certainly talk about that, but we might need to be in executive session for that conversation.
Do you want to go into executive session on this?
It's just a public hearing now, right?
Well, this is the
No,
approval.
public hearing and consider ordinance. Yeah, that will probably be, let's back off this one. Go ahead and go through the rest of the stuff we've got, and then we'll go into executive session at the end of this session before we go into council. If that'll work out.
The next item, 5B, is an ordinance to approve a negotiated settlement between Atmos steering committees and Atmos Energy Corporation. This is a rate increase that was requested by Atmos. Again, as part of the Atmos City Steering Committee, we rely on their expertise and their legal advice. And what they did was they negotiated through the Railroad Commission that increase that was requested by Atmos. Atmos originally requested $35.4 million in additional revenues. Through the negotiation process, that was reduced to $29.9 million. The Atmos City Steering Committee has recommended approval now of this negotiated rate settlement. The monthly impact on a typical residential bill would be about a $1.26 increase per month. And for commercial, that is about $3.81 per month. The next item is 5C is a resolution approving professional services agreement in the amount of $213,000. And this is for the comprehensive plan consultant. The comprehensive plan committee selected 2 people to work with staff to interview firms. We put out a request for qualifications in January. 5 firms responded. 4 of those firms were interviewed by the interview committee, which was staff and 2 members of the comprehensive plan steering committee. And that interview committee selected Freeze and Nichols as the most qualified firm. So then we negotiated a contract with them, and that is what you have in your packet. So this would be a contract with Freeze and Nichols, and they would become the consultant then for the comprehensive plan effort. Expect that to be completed in 2017.
But you had budget already set aside, at least to this amount, is that right?
Yes, we budgeted $250,000 for this project. Now, we do think that there will be additional costs towards the tail end of this project, because what will come out of the comprehensive plan will be a set of recommendations. And those recommendations will also include probably revising a lot of our zoning ordinances and our development regulations. So we will probably want to have conversations, discussion with Freeze and Nichols to assist us in that process. That would be an additional cost. If we don't have that assistance, then that all falls on our planning staff, which is 1 person, and she has a lot of other things on her plate as well. So if we do it in-house, it means that it will be a very slow process in trying to get those things revised. And that is a key thing in being able to implement the recommendations of the comprehensive plan will be to put into place the new regulations and ordinances that help us to achieve that vision. So that's something that we will discuss with them, but we may want to look at using that additional funding for that. We probably will.
Will a representative from Freeze and Nichols be here tonight?
Yes, they will.
And we have, if you want to ask a question right now, we've got what, I'd say a couple of the committee that were here that were included on the interview from the Gail.
Yes, sir.
Sheldon Silk was
Sheldon's not here, but Barry, were you on that? Yeah,
He's on the
I'm on the planning,
committee.
the steering committee. yes.
Yeah, so you one of the ones that,
And Jim.
And Joe.
yeah.
Gail and Sheldon were the only ones.
Oh, Gail and Sheldon were the only ones that were able to do it. So if you got any questions, you could ask that of them.
I've got a question. What are the out-of-pocket expenses?
Out-of-pocket, Chastity, do you want to explain that?
Yes, so the contract is broken out into the out-of-pocket, which is all of the copying technology, print materials, travel, all of that is included in the out-of-pocket. They've just broken it out specifically in the contract.
Travel like from where?
From one of the members is from the Houston area, one of the members of the planning team. Everyone else is local.
So we're paying for their transportation?
For their travel arrangements, yeah, that's the typical component of a professional services contract with a consultant.
Freeze and Nichols is a huge outfit. Is the person from Freeze and Nichols? Where
They'll
are
be
they
at the regular
out of?
meeting.
In Richardson, out there. I just,
So their main office is in Fort Worth.
they're forward. Well, they have a huge building in Richardson too.
They have,
Yes, there's
they have
several offices.
other satellite offices as well, and so it probably depends on the expertise and who's on the team. So it sounds like one of the team members then is from outside of the area, but that is, travel expenses are typical. The fact that they're local and they're Fort Worth means that these out-of-pocket costs are probably a lot less than they would have been if it had been a firm out of the area. And copying and
All of
printing
the-
costs are a big part of it too, because the final product they will provide us printed copy, a couple of certain number of printed copies of the plan, as well as DVDs or the CDs of the plan.
That also includes coordinates all of the materials throughout the entire process, all of our public meetings, all of our public meetings, P and Z council meetings, steering committee meeting materials, and then any additional materials as it
They
relates
were
to that
also,
process.
they were also talking about creating like flyers and brochures that would be
Yes.
able to send out. And
Yeah, we'd have to have a lot of public engagement, and so they're also to be developing a website, so all of those costs are associated with that.
I was very impressed when they came and presented at our last comprehensive planning committee, and we got a chance to ask questions. I was very impressed. It looked like to me that Freeze and Nichols just kind of stood out above the other, and the other are big firms that are well known, but looked like to me they had it all going.
Well, those costs are pretty typical. It's just we're not used to awarding a professional services contract this long.
No, at AT&T, it would be in the bill and they'd absorb it. You wouldn't see that.
One way or the other, we pay for it, so.
Well, yeah, but you
But
wouldn't
she'll
see
pay
it. You wouldn't be, it would be part of the bill. It wouldn't be separate.
Most of the agreements that I've seen, it's usually, it is broken out. Usually there's a not to exceed cost on there, so if they go over that, then they eat that cost.
So is that what that means then, that that's the?
That's a not to exceed.
Okay.
Okay, the next item is a resolution to, for approving a submittal of the FY 2016 CDBG project activity applications. As you recall, the last meeting we had the CDBG public hearing to take public input on potential projects. At that time, we did have a couple of recommendations for projects. One was enhancing the mosquito spraying program. That is considered an operational cost and so is not eligible for CDBG funding.
Thanks for checking it out, though.
Pardon me?
Thanks for checking it out, though.
You're welcome. A second request was also suggested, and that was to consider wastewater improvements at River Oaks area. We've looked at that, and actually we have done several projects in the River Oaks area. In FY12, there were 3 projects done, and then again in FY14, 2 projects that were done there. So staff is recommending 2 options, with option 1 being a wastewater improvement project. Let me back up also. Staff is also recommending the continuation of funding the code enforcement officer, which we have done for a number of years. So we're recommending that, and then using the excess funds, looking at a potential project. So there's 2 potential projects that we've looked at. One is a wastewater improvement line between Steger and west of Hill City Drive on north of Pebble Road. This would benefit 25 homes that drain to that sanitary sewer line. It would, the cost of that project, with what the CDBG funding would be, would result in a cost to the city then to make up that difference of about $21,900. Another option, if you want to consider, would be a project in the easement as along Softwood Drive between Meadowcrest and 326 Softwood, and that is also a wastewater line. That project would benefit about 17 homes and would cost a little bit more, about $28,300 to the city. So the resolutions in your packet, I think, are one for each option. So it's
Which one affects more homes?
option
First
one, and it's also a little bit less costly for the city.
The one was 25 homes, is that right?
Yes.
27 homes.
25 homes.
25 homes and 17 homes.
17, right.
So,
And is this over to the 2-year period?
This is over the 2-year period, so so the funding for the CDBG officer, or for the code enforcement officer, is for the 2 years. Then we would not have any funding again until 2 years from now. The next item is a resolution renaming field number 5 at Harrington Park to D. Carlisle Field. And this was a request by DBBI to name a field after their former board president. This request did go to the park board, and the park board recommended approval of that name change. And there is a request in your packet. one of the things that we will look at as staff and work with the park board though going forward is a policy on naming fields. We don't really have one in place right now. So we will look at a policy with park board and bring it to council in the future so that we have some guidelines on how you would want to name parks or part of parks.
Who's Harrington?
Mark, Harrington was our old city manager.
First city manager.
Yeah, Marcus Harrington.
And he lived here forever.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
So I know that the one that they're suggesting is the pastor at Duncanville Fair Meadows Baptist Church, but I never saw that he lived here. Does he live here?
Well, we're not renaming the park, we're just renaming a field.
One field, one fault. See, there's about 7 down there, and it's just one.
That's kind of direct.
Field number 5.
Field 5.
Field 5 in Harrington Park, sorry.
Well, if you read that resume, this guy's got quite a history.
Yeah, I
in the past
guess,
with
but
the
it never
church.
said he lived here. And I'm going, where's he live?
And they would install a sign, small sign then with his name on that, on the backstop.
I have a picture of that in the presentation.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's just a field, one baseball
One
field.
baseball field.
Well, we're gonna follow this with a policy.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's kind of scary. We can just start renaming everything.
There's a cart, and there's a horse.
Yeah, it seems like we ought to do the policy before we rename the field. Is there a reason that we're doing this now?
Before the policy?
Yes, because they've already kind of stepped out there and said I've already recognized Mr. Carlisle. So now they're asking for permission.
Is Mr. Carlisle sick? Did I hear something?
Yes. He is sick, yeah.
That's
That's
urgent.
good for you. Check
Somebody whacked him down there.
The next item is a resolution awarding a bid to Kendo Contracting for sidewalk improvements. There are a number of different sidewalk improvement projects that are in your packet. These also include projects from FY15 that were not done. So there is a cost overrun on that because the funding was, we did not have an adequate amount of funding in this year's budget. The last item on the agenda takes care of this item and then the asphalt item, because both of those are capturing projects from FY15 that were not done. So those funds that would have been allocated to those projects last year went into the fund reserve, so we have fund reserve money to pay for that.
is that in part because of the increase in concrete, asphalt, the overall?
Brunswick, can you address that question? Did we see a cost
Yeah, we've seen
increase
some
due to
increase in construction costs, specifically, if you remember the ready-mix concrete project that we awarded, I think, about a month ago. It's about a 32% increase. I just recently saw an article today that Dallas Morning News about other construction costs going up, so we're starting to see that.
Mayor, the other reason is that some of our contracts are not large enough to attract many bidders. And so what we've done is we've combined these 2 years of funding to create a larger contract to hopefully attract the bigger and better contractors.
And on this particular item, this was actually the third lowest bid because the first 2 bidders were disqualified.
Well, if you look at the first bidder, recognize that he made a mistake in his bid tab. He bid one item at $4 and probably should have bid it at 40. He became the next to high bidder, so we're really taking the second low bidder because the second guy, I don't know what it was. Oh, he didn't have his insurance.
Didn't have an
Yeah.
Bid security.
It's security.
Are we going to talk about the high school sidewalk in here? Or?
Either place. I was going to mention specifically that one of the projects in here, if you didn't notice, is for Lakeside Park, and that is a decomposed granite trail, and that is to connect the trail on Hill City Drive through Lakeside Park to Center Street. Is there a question about the project you want to ask now or later? we'll do a short presentation in the council meeting and answer questions or answer questions.
Yeah, well, I can ask out there, because I know we want to have an executive session.
We're going to have it in executive session? Are you talking about?
Not for sidewalks, for the church.
He's gonna save the time, so we can.
Got it. And this also includes finishing Fair Meadows? Because it was in the,
Probably location seven.
Is that what 7? It looks like that's what probably 7 is.
And
Well,
I
Seven
think-
looking at area.
I think that we should talk about at some point, looking at Redbird too, because I realized that when the builder or the developer did that area, that they didn't include sidewalks, but if they're talking about complying with ADA, that came after they did that neighborhood. We have no sidewalks. So,
So one of the section across the Rondé
Well, would it be kind of difficult to put sidewalks in without paving those streets and putting in the correct drainage?
I don't know.
You got bar ditches along there?
Yeah, you got to put it behind the bar
Yeah,
ditch.
you got it, and which, how much right of way there is.
But we'd still have to have them. I mean, you're talking about, would it be expensive and difficult? Probably, but either we comply with ADA or we don't.
So that brings up a question I have. The comprehensive plan, are they gonna take that into account of the sidewalk issue and make?
I don't think that the comprehensive plan is gonna drill down that deeply into sidewalks. Now, as part of Parks Master Plan, and we will be doing a trail plan, but again, I don't know that that's going to delve that deeply into it. Now I'm gonna ask Chastity and Mike, but as far as mobility planning, where is that gonna best be captured in sidewalk plans?
Well, there will be a component of the comprehensive plan that will address pedestrian access and mobility and transportation, walkable neighborhoods. I don't know that it will get to the point where we'll specify where the sidewalks are needed, but I think overall we'll just address pedestrian access and mobility.
So if we do sidewalks every year, wouldn't that be, should we have a plan? A 10-year plan? This year we do so many sidewalks, next year we do so many sidewalks, this area gets some, this area gets some.
We do have a plan, I mean, as far as moving forward, I mean, as part of our 5-year capital improvements plan, we do identify, set aside an amount of funding for sidewalks and for ADA ramps. I don't know how they're designated out in those out years as to what we have out there right now.
So the
Well,
peop- I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
So the people who are living in neighborhoods that have bar ditches, what are those roads called,
Crown, hogback roads.
Hogback roads.
HOG,
So they,
how attractive.
they have no hope with the plan that we have to ever get sidewalks.
It'd be very difficult with, within the right of way. Usually what you have is the road itself. And because you have no curbs, the drainage is handled in what are called bar ditches. And those bar ditches take up the majority of the right of way in most cases, making it really difficult to put sidewalks in there because the sidewalks have to be they can't be at more than a 2% cross slope and meet ADA criteria. So it'd be very difficult to fit them in most of those rights of way.
But it can be done because having lived in Oak Cliff, we had bar ditches in those. And then at some point they modernized and everybody got a regular road with sidewalks and sewer.
And when you do that, when you create a regular roadway with curb and gutter,
Then you got.
then you can add the
That's my
sidewalks.
original question.
Yeah, you're filling in the bar ditch, because then your drainage is underground, and then you have room to put the sidewalk. So the best thing would be to go in and do curb and gutter streets in there first, and do sidewalks later.
I've got a curb. Only one on the street. I think we should.
It's back on your property.
It's okay.
Let's go ahead and finish up here so we get.
I like the curb. Hog back.
That's Texas.
That's really unattractive.
Did I already talk about, I haven't talked about 5G yet, have I? I kind of lost my place. The next item is 5G, it's a resolution authorizing a bid to APAC Texas. And this is for hot mix asphalt overlay. And again, this is capturing FY15 project that did not get done, as well as planned FY16 projects. And we have the project locations in the maps there for you as well. Again, we would take funding that we saved from last year by not doing the project that went into fund reserve and reallocate that through this project. The next item, 5H, is an ordinance then that captures those two contracts and makes a budget amendment in the amount of $260,000, $160,000 of that being for the asphalt and $100,000 for the sidewalk projects. And that would come out of fund reserve, and we do have adequate fund reserves to do that.
These are the streets that we rode around looking at.
I think, were some of these part of the ones that they looked at? I mean, these are streets that were identified last year already and are in need of this is an overlay, and it's not a mill, it's not milling, it's just the overlay. And
These are not the ones we looked at.
No, but these were picked out quite some time ago.
And so, back to that other one on the sidewalks, that did include what was not finished in Fair Meadows?
I didn't see that on there.
It was in
Yes,
the
there's
first
two of them,
paragraph.
I think.
Yep.
Camp Wisdom was one.
The city's commitment to this program includes FY 2015 sidewalk package citywide and FY 2015 CDBG sidewalk package in the Fair Meadows edition. So is that is included? Well, this isn't part of the CDBG package, but that's what was coming in. It's a different funding. But maybe we're doing it at the same time.
In the packet there's pictures there.
I got it, and that picture's not in there, but it says that right here, so I would like to see it. It's not in the picture. There's none of District 5 in the picture.
Yeah, East Camp Wisdom, from Merrill to Oriole, and then there's mainly it's installing, they're abbreviated BFR, barrier-free ramps at Camp Wisdom, same area, Merrill to Oriole.
And what does this mean then?
Yeah, in the agenda memo, we said that it was including the FY25 to 15 CDBG sidewalk package. So did we complete that CDBG package in Fair Meadows in FY 2015?
I don't know the answer to that. I'll find out.
Let us find out. We might have an answer for you before the council meeting.
Okay, next item is a quarterly report from the library, their work plan update.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm pleased to stand before you again tonight to give a quarterly report from the library. As usual, my quarterly reports start off pretty simple. We don't have a lot of personnel changes in the library, not a lot of turnover. We enjoy a lot of continuity of knowledge because of that fact, so I'll move right into departmental accomplishments. I'm pleased to report that we had another reprise of our e-waste recycling and paper shredding event this spring, which we first made an attempt at last October. The one in October was pretty successful. This one pretty much doubled what we did last time. We saw over 2 tons of e-waste collected from citizens. We had about 130 participants, which is about 20 more than we saw in the fall. We also pretty much filled a moving truck-sized truck of paper to be shredded and recycled. So as we continue looking at this event going forward, we'll need to look into ways to scale it up because we're pretty much maxing out our capacity. We may even need to pick a different location because of traffic flow and all that. But again, good problems to have, I think. I also want to talk about our spring break events. We had a pretty full week of programming over spring break. We sort of ramped things up with respect to how we engage citizens and create learning opportunities beyond what we've done in the past. I want to take a minute to commend the work of my youth services librarian, Deneen Hudson. I guess it's a pretty massive undertaking for her to coordinate all this in addition to running the programs that she does on a weekly basis. On Monday, we had a visit from Buku's the Clown, who had a pretty healthy audience of children. On Tuesday, we had a visit from the Tech Truck from the Perot Museum in downtown Dallas. Wednesday, we had a movie night, which unfortunately I didn't get a photo of, but we showed the Minion movie, and we had about 60 children show up. And then we closed out the week on Friday with a glass magnet craft. And over the whole week, beyond the number of attendees that we had for our normal weekly programs, we saw an additional 361 children that stopped by the library that week and had lots of fun participating in these exciting and learning and educational activities. On our work plan items, I'm happy to report the completion of 2 items that are on your work plan, those being the strategic plan for programs and services and the collection development plan. You received a presentation about this in April, in your first meeting in April. Joe Hassler and I gave you an update on that. So those 2 items are now complete. We're now moving forward with the objectives that are a component of those plans. We are continuing our progress with objective 1.8 to engage community groups about library services. We have some momentum on this front as a part of our strategic planning process, so we're looking to continue that going forward. Now that we've completed the strategic plan, we'll be revising our library policy manual to make sure that that document jives with the first one. We hope to have that approved by the library board in July of this year. And lastly, there is one item 4.22 to implement the top 3 recommendations of Ash Plus Lime. They were a group that came, they were sort of a consulting group that came in and helped us identify some low-hanging fruit to make better use of the library, the rec center, the senior center, and the city core. So we'll be working with Parks Department and Recreation Center to look at ways to implement those findings over the rest of this year. In the way of service measures, I'm reporting figures for fiscal year through the end of April, the first 7 months of the year. And some numbers that I want to point out is that our circulation is at about 60% of what we expect for the year. Our ebook circulation, our digital content circulation, is up about 18% from what it was at this point last year, though that does continue to only make up about 5 to 10% of our overall circulation. So while it still makes up a small slice of the pie, it is growing. I also want to point out that we have seen a drastic increase in the attendance for our programs. While we have not been able to offer quite as many programs by this point in the year that we did last year, we've seen over a 50% increase. That number 4,598, that is 56% over where we were at this point last year. And as a component of that, our adult attendance, 18 and older, has doubled with respect to where we were at this point last year. So I want to commend my staff on that as well. Another figure that's doubled from where we were last year is our use of volunteers. You may remember that when I spoke to you last fall, I told a story about a Halloween event that we had that was surprisingly successful, and we used a lot of volunteers for that effort as well. That's a big component. Also, putting on the programs that I mentioned over spring break, we used a lot of volunteer efforts in that front as well, and we continue to use a lot of ongoing volunteer help for some small behind-the-scenes kinds of projects. So we're really getting better at leveraging volunteer assistance, and that's showing in our numbers. Just to give you a taste of great things to come, I want to draw your attention to our Summer Reading Club, which is coming up in June and July. It takes up the middle 2 months of the summer. I have some lovely bright orange flyers that I can share with you if you're interested, but just to kind of give you a rundown, in addition to our regular weekly scheduled programs, this will see a schedule of 37 distinct events ranging from bi-monthly gatherings of our Lego Maniacs group, movie showings that are targeted to kids and families, some visits from the Tail Wagging Tutors group, the therapy dog group that I've mentioned to you before, 2 meetings of a Teen Smart Money Boot Camp, which will teach fiscal responsibility and financial independence to teens in high school, and a number of one-time events and programs featuring visitors from Magic Cruise around town. Again, we'll see our clown who came by. We have a ventriloquist. We have a puppet show. We have a science show. We have a visit from, I believe Critterman's going to be there. He's going to bring some snakes in a controlled environment, I assure you. So just a lot of fun and a lot of activity going on at the library over the summer that I wanted to draw your attention to and encourage you to look forward to and encourage you to pass the word on, if you will. Having said that, having given you a report on what's happened and a taste of things to come, I'd be happy to address any questions that you may have.
I don't have a question per
Yes.
se, but I want to compliment you on getting more attendance with fewer programs. Sounds like you're doing more with less. And also, I'm very glad to see that you all are going to have a class with a fiscal responsibility, because credit card companies set out their invitations younger and younger now.
Thank you, Director. I'll pass that along.
Okay. What is motivating the double and adult attendance?
The double and adult attendance, I don't know that I can point to definitely point to a specific indicator, but what I have noticed is that we have had an increase in attendance in our English as a second language class. And we also are seeing a lot more requests for one-on-one appointment-based computer help, which we're putting under the banner of Tech Time. It's a service whereby where we used to offer weekly computer classes to teach computer skills to a group of people. We ran into troubles with scheduling and matching the content of the course to the audience. So rather than continue to go down the road of trying to figure out the right time for the right audience for the right class, we just simply went to an appointment-based system. And the numbers that we're getting for that are factored in as well. So we're seeing an uptick in demand for that as well, which I'm happy to see that we continue to help people develop their computer skills, which then translate to job skills. So,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
As authorized by section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code, this meeting may be convened into closed executive session for the purpose of seeking confidential legal advice from the city attorney on any item on the agenda at any time during the meeting. It is now 6:43. I will adjourn our executive session at let's say 6:43. I'll ask room to be cleared, and we'll go into executive session. 7:06, and I will call the council meeting to order. The first order of business tonight will be our invocation by Pastor Calvin Funches from the Crossroad of Life Duncanville Church. Following that, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. So will you please stand?
Let us bow our heads and pray. Gracious Father, we bring you heartfelt thanks and gratitude for the mercy you have shown our city. We thank you for every blessing you've bestowed on our government, our economy, our communities, and our schools. We know all authority comes from you, so we thank you for the leadership you've provided us through the diligent hands of the mayor, the city council, city manager, and numerous civil servants in this building. Now, Father, we ask that Mayor Green and the city council be given divine wisdom to understand the complexities of the issues that face our community. Enable them to grasp the implications of current and proposed city policy. Grant them a unity of heart that serves as a model of solidarity for our entire community. Give them a continued hunger for the common good and a resolve to always act in the best interest of all the citizens of Duncanville. Place your protection on our police officers and firefighters, and bring every one of them home safely to their families tonight. Over our city, we speak the words of Hebrews 13. Now may the God of peace, who brought up from the dead our Lord Jesus, the great shepherd of the sheep, and ratified an eternal covenant with his blood, may he equip you with all you need for doing his will. May he produce in you, through the power of Jesus Christ, every good thing that is pleasing to him. All glory to him forever and ever. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
I pledge the allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge the allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. The next order of business will be the canvass of the election and the oaths of office. Item number A is to consider a resolution of the City Council of the City of Duncanville, Texas, approving the canvass of returns and declaration of results of the general election of municipal officers held on May 9, 2016. There's a typo on my page. Okay. City Secretary, will you read that proclamation, resolution?
The proclamation and the resolution?
No, yes, the resolution.
Resolution is about 4 pages long. Would you like me to read that?
Is it on the board? Let's just have the swearing-in ceremony.
Pass the resolution.
Okay, well, we've got it in our packet. Does everyone have the resolution? Have you read it? Okay, we won't do that then. Okay, the chair will entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the resolution.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion about the resolution? Seeing none, will you please vote? Thank you very much. All right, item number B is to swear in the newly elected council members. City Secretary?
I'm going to go down to the podium, and the 3 gentlemen that were elected would like to come down. David Green first. Mayor David Green. Raise your right hand. I, David L. Green,
I, David L. Green,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office of mayor
the duties of the office of mayor
of the city of Duncanville, Texas,
of the,
or Duncanville, state of Texas,
of the city of of the state of Texas, of Duncanville of the state of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my abilities
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state,
so help me God.
so help me God. I'd like for, I see my wife and my daughter, I'd like for them to come down and be introduced. This is my wife, Ann Green, of 54 years. So we'll be 54 in July. And my daughter, Julie Hargrove. I just want to say that I want to thank everybody who was involved with me in this election. It took a lot of folks and a lot of hard work, from those who contributed financially to those who contributed with time, who did the calling, helped us with the mailings, helped give the coffees, and everything that we did, and helped put out signs, take up signs. There were just a lot of folks that were involved in this, and I want to thank you, because without you, it wouldn't have happened. So all of you who've come out tonight, who worked in the campaign, please stand up. Thank you so much, and I know that all of us up here have pledged that we're going to make this a great 2 years for Duncanville, and we're going to move this city forward. And so we thank you for your confidence in voting for us. Thank you very much.
I, Stephen E. Rutherford,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties
that I will faithfully execute the duties
of the office of Council Member District 2
of the office of Council Member District 2
of the City of Duncanville, State of Texas,
of the City of Duncanville, State of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability preserve,
and will to the best of my ability preserve,
protect, and defend
protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state,
so help me God.
so help me God. Well, I'd also like to thank everybody that helped me in the election. And I think it'd probably be the same people that stood up for Mayor Green, but I do appreciate everybody that walked and talked and passed out flyers and helped with a certain letter that we wrote. And so I just want to thank all of you.
This is my wife, Lori, if anybody doesn't know her. Our two kids are at home, watching The Flash. They had their priorities.
Raise your right hand. I, Ronald Dodson, M.D.,
I, Ronald Dodson, M.D.,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties
that I will faithfully execute the duties
of the office of Council Member District 4
of the office of Council Member District 4
of the City of Duncanville, State of Texas,
of the City of Duncanville, State of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability preserve,
and will to the best of my ability preserve,
protect, and defend the Constitution
protect, and defend the Constitution
and laws of the United States and of this state,
and laws of the United States and of this state,
so help me God.
so help me God. First of all, I'd just like to say it's been my complete honor to be the District 4 council member for the past 2 years, and I'm really thrilled to have the opportunity for 2 more years. I'd like to thank everybody who helped with the re-election as well, and especially the voters who just took the time to come out and vote. In Duncanville, that's something that we all still have to work at. Thank you.
Our next order of business will be the reports, and the mayor's report will be pretty short tonight. I want to remind you that this coming Saturday is Duncan Switch Saturday, and this is quite a festival that we have up on Main Street with all of our vendors coming out, setting up their tents and selling their wares, and it's getting bigger and bigger. So we want to thank all of the people who participate in this, and we want to invite again all of our public to come out, visit with these merchants, and buy products, because this is a great thing for our city to have this once a month. And the second thing we're going to have this weekend is our fire truck pool. The fire truck pool is something, it will be held right in the parking lot off of James Collins. It's a great thing. We've got high hopes for our fire department this year. Is Chief Rhodey here, or one of our firemen? Chief Rhodey, would you come down and explain the fire truck pool for us real quick, sir? Or Doug, you come down. This is Officer Doug Sisk.
Yes, sir, Mayor. This would be our 7th annual Duncanville Fire Truck Pool. It'd be over in the parking lot by the Senior Center on James Collins. It benefits Special Olympics Texas. Ours is one of the largest fire truck pools in Texas, and we do it through the law enforcement torch run to bring awareness and fundraising for Special Olympics Texas. So teams of 12 people are timed to see who can pull the truck the fastest.
The reason I called on the fire department, I don't think they did too well last year. When the library beats you, it's a great event, and it's a great fundraiser for a very, very important project. So we would invite you to come to Duncan Switch and then come down and watch the fire truck pull. Council member reports. Councilman Rutherford.
Okay. I'd just like to point out to everybody, I don't know how many people have noticed, on Wheatland Road between Santa Fe Trail and Cedar Ridge, there's a new oil change place. Used to be I think the Mobile One, but a new company called Take 5 Oil Change has taken over that building. They've painted it, spruced up the ground. So I know if you drive, you'll notice that it just looks a whole lot better, and it has improved the look of that area. So if you need an oil change, I haven't had a chance to do it yet, but if you need one, you might consider using them because they have invested a lot of dollars in the Duncanville area.
Okay, city manager report.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, I was going to mention two things, one of which the Mayor already talked about, and that is the fire truck pull on Saturday, May 21st. But this weekend, our city staff will be involved in two fundraising events, that being one of them. And the Special Olympics Texas is one of the foundations, organizations that the Duncanville Police Department supports. And the fire truck pull is one of their major fundraisers for Special Olympics Texas. It is open to the public, and teams are welcome to still register. So if you can beat the fire department or the library, takes a team of 12 people. Registration starts at 9 o'clock, and the event begins at 10 o'clock on Saturday at Armstrong Park. Also on Friday, May 20th, the American Cancer Society Relay for Life will be held at Duncanville High School Stadium, and city staff will have a team there to do that walk, and that is from 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. Saturday morning. Thank you.
We have a proclamation tonight, item number 2A, a presentation of a certificate of recognized status to the Duncanville Police Department by Chief Tom Sheehan of the Texas Police Chiefs Association Law Enforcement Best Practices Recognition Program. So at this time I would call on Chief.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening. I would like to ask Chief Tom Sheehan to join me at the podium. Mayor and Council, Chief Sheehan was one of the original team members that helped design the Best Practices Program. He has over 40 years of law enforcement experience. He was a past president of the Texas Police Chiefs Association, serving from 1999 to 2000. And he recently retired as a police chief for the DFW Airport Police Department, and he will be presenting the award this evening.
Thank you, Chief Brown. As the past president of the Texas Police Chiefs Association, it's my honor today to represent the Texas Police Chiefs Association and their 1,100 police chief members across the state of Texas. And I'm here this evening to present Chief Brown and the Duncanville Police Department with a certificate acknowledging their attaining Texas Law Enforcement Best Practices recognition. But before I do that, I'd like to just tell you a bit about the recognition program and what it means and what the Duncanville Police Department had to go through to attain this recognition. You all know about the accreditation programs for schools, universities, hospitals, which are programs of professional excellence requiring proof of compliance with a set of standards. Well, a number of years ago, the Texas Police Chiefs Association decided to develop a recognition program unique to Texas police departments. The program is voluntary, and the agencies must prove they meet 166 difficult standards based on Texas law and contemporary best practices as identified by the Texas Police Chiefs Association. These standards address the full range of law enforcement operations, only some of which include use of force, vehicle pursuits, property and evidence management, and protection of citizen rights, and many, many more. The program quickly became the gold standard for law enforcement in Texas, and currently there are over 200 Texas police agencies which are either recognized or seeking recognition. In September of 2015, the Duncanville Police Department entered the recognition program, and during the 6 months which followed, the agency had to conduct a complete audit of all of their policies, procedures, and operations to ensure that the department met the 166 standards. In February of this year, Chief Brown announced the department was prepared for the final recognition assessment phase. So the Texas Police Chiefs Association sent 3 police chiefs from different parts of the state to spend 2 days conducting the final assessment for the department. These assessors interviewed staff, they inspected facilities, rode with the Duncanville police officers, and verified compliance with all 166 standards. Their report was sent to the Texas Police Chiefs Recognition Committee, which consists of 9 active police chiefs from around the state. They reviewed the report and voted to award recognized status to the Duncanville Police Department. So this evening, the Texas Police Chiefs Association officially recognizes the Duncanville Police Department for their outstanding accomplishment. Chief Brown, please come up and receive your certification.
Mayor and Council, real briefly, I'd like to say that it's these men and women that you see before you that made this possible. This recognized status was achieved because of them. And I tell you, we're truly honored to accept this award this evening, and it is certainly my privilege and my honor to be a part of this police department. So we're going to take a quick photograph, but then we have a second presentation that we'd like to present as well.
This is going to hide you, man. I'm going to lower this microphone if that's all right, because that will definitely cover Ben up. You guys come in a little tighter. Count of 3, I'm going to take several photos. 1, 2, 3. Can you hold it up a little bit higher? There we go. Okay. Let's look. No. Never mind. We want to see y'all's face. 1, 2, 3.
Mayor and Council, at this time, I would like to ask Assistant Police Chief Brian Hurd to join me at the podium. This process was a process that, as I mentioned to you, is because of the men and women of the Duncanville Police Department. I want to recognize our project manager. The project manager was responsible for the overall coordination of this program, and some of the duties include construct and maintain the files, review and develop some policies, obtain and submit proofs of compliance, and coordinate the initial compliance review and the final on-site review. And I tell you, this gentleman did an outstanding job, and I've asked the Assistant Police Chief to recognize him this evening.
Thank you, Chief. Good evening, Mayor and Council, citizens. This time I'd like to ask Lieutenant Eugene Croft to join me up front, and I believe his lovely bride of 23 years, Jennifer, is here also, and their son, Riley. Y'all did hear me say that Gene and Jennifer celebrated their 23rd wedding anniversary Friday, right? Yeah. All right. On September 1, 2014, Chief Brown assigned Lieutenant Croft as the Administrative Services Lieutenant for the Police Department. That meant that he was responsible for supervising the Animal Control Division, the Records Division. He's also the department's grant writer and grant administrator. He's also the technical manager responsible for the mobile video systems in our squad cars, as well as the body-worn cameras that every officer wears. In addition to those, he serves as our SWAT team commander. Aside from those, Chief Brown introduced him to the Texas Police Chiefs Association Best Practices Recognition Program and said, this is a priority. Make this happen. So for the next year and a half, Gene was the go-to guy to do all those things that you heard Chief Brown and Chief Sheehan talk about. The 166 proofs, which meant making sure that every member of the department read and took the test and passed the test and acknowledged receipt of those standards and documenting all of that. So on April 8th, when the department was officially notified that we had been awarded the recognized status by the Texas Police Chiefs Association, I met with some members of the department who serve on the Meritorious Conduct Board. And we looked at the various awards that the department can award, and there was one that kind of jumped out to fit this situation. This award is awarded to any officer for outstanding contributions to law enforcement through the success of difficult long-term police projects, with such contributions being made in a highly professional degree of accomplishment. That seemed to fit the bill perfectly. We recommended the award to Chief Brown. He has signed off on it. And so please join me as we present the Police Commendation Bar to Lieutenant Gene Croft.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor and Council.
Absolutely. Congratulations to all of you. Item number 2B is a proclamation recognizing May 20, 2016 as the American Heart Association Don't Die of Doubt Day. And Dr. Dotson will present that proclamation.
Cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of Americans, and whereas in 2014, more than 4,800 North Texas residents over the age of 50 suffered a heart attack, and whereas every 43 seconds someone in the United States has a heart attack, and whereas only 40% of people experiencing warning signs of a heart attack call 911, and whereas treatment can be delayed to up to an hour those who drive themselves, and whereas reducing treatment time by calling 911 is vital to surviving a heart attack, and whereas medical treatment is initiated by the 911 dispatcher and delivered by EMS, who can identify and treat a suspected heart attack upon arrival at the patient's location, and whereas the American Heart Association launched the Don't Die of Doubt campaign to educate North Texas residents on the big value of calling 911 at the first sign of a heart attack. Now therefore, David L. Green, Mayor of the City of Duncanville, Texas, John
Item number 2C is a proclamation recognizing May 15 through 21, 2016 as National Public Works Week. So I'm going to call on Councilman Dennis Schwartz to present this one.
Mike, would you come up? I get the privilege to read this proclamation into the record tonight. I guess because I used to be the Public Works Director here, and this is National Public Works Week coming up. Public Works is the third largest department in the city, and many of you may not know that they're the third largest, because if they're doing their job, you don't know they're here. You turn your water on, it works. Water comes out. You flush your commode, it disappears. When it rains, your house doesn't flood. If there's a pothole on your street, it gets fixed. As long as they're doing their job, you don't know they're around. And that's the way we like it. So, here's the proclamation. Whereas public works infrastructure, facilities, and services are an integral part of our citizens' everyday lives and vital importance to sustainable communities and the health, safety, and well-being of the people of Duncanville, and whereas such facilities and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of the public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees from your local public works department who are responsible for and who plan, design, build, operate, and maintain the transportation, water supply, water treatment, public buildings, structures, and facilities, and who deliver solid waste services, transit, fleet services, which are essential to serve our citizens. And whereas the efficiency of the qualified and dedicated personnel who staff our public works department is materially influenced by the citizens' attitude and understanding of the importance of the work they perform, and whereas the men and women of the public works department of the city of Duncanville unceasingly provide a vital public service. Now therefore, David Green, Mayor of the City of Duncanville, Texas, do hereby call upon all citizens of Duncanville and upon all patriotic, civic, and educational organizations to observe the week of May the 15th through the 21st, 2016 as National Public Works Week, with appropriate ceremonies and observances in which all of our people may join in commemorating Public Works Department employees of the City of Duncanville, past and present, who, by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities, have rendered a dedicated service to our community, and in so doing have established for themselves an enviable and enduring reputation for preserving the health, safety, and well-being of all citizens.
Thank you, Councilmember. On behalf of all of the public works professionals that work for the city of Duncanville, I can honestly say that they do take a tremendous pride in their work, and as Councilmember Schwartz said, if we're doing our job correctly, you won't see us. But we're behind the scenes. We support all of the departments in the city, and we're proud to do that. Thank you so much for this proclamation and recognition. We do appreciate everyone and your support of the Public Works Department. So again, thank you for the proclamation.
Item number 2D is to receive the second quarter investment report for quarter ending March 31, 2016.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm Richard Summerlin, Finance Director, and we'll just jump right into the report. As you can see, we started this quarter out with about $13 million in our investment portfolio, and we ended the quarter with a little over $20 million in our investment portfolio. That's not unusual because we're receiving all of our property tax in during the year. And as we've noted many times in the financial statements, those funds come in at the beginning of the year, and then our revenues begin to slow down. So look at our investments by maturity date, we had the majority of our money, 15 million, invested in the pools, so those were under 30 days in terms of maturity. And we had $1 million that were invested between 180 days and 1 year. And then we have $4 million that's more long-term investments in CDs that extend out to up to 2 years. If we look at the breakdown of our portfolio, we see that we have 55% in Logic, which is the primary government agency that we invest in, a government pool agency. We have 20% in money market funds, and then we have the remaining 25% invested in our certificates of deposit. Always my favorite chart, the blue line on the top is the blended rate for all of our investments. That's what the city's return is on the money. We benchmark that against other returns and chart them out. The green line is for the Logic, the pool by itself. And as you can see, those rates have definitely took an upswing in January, February, and March, as well as our portfolio did. And then the red line is the 90-day T-bill, and then Tex Pool, which is another investment pool that we invest minimal amount of money in because their return is not that as good as Logic. The purple line represents them. So you can see that we're well above all of those benchmarks. With that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Next is item number 3, which is our citizens' input. And Mr. Constanzo, I'm having trouble with your first name. Constanzo? What is it? Jervis? Okay. Would you please come up? I would ask that you identify yourself and your address for the records for the city secretary, please.
My name again is Jervis Constanzo. I recently moved here to 1114 Deer Ridge, nearby.
Go ahead. You've got 2 minutes. Go ahead.
My question was regarding one of the items in the agenda that talked about a proposal for the, let me look at the name of the company, Freeze Nichols. I just was curious about what was the breakdown on the things that this proposal is going to be covering, and what is the measurables, how these people are going to be measured in terms of what value they bring to the community and like years to come.
Okay, sir, this is a public hearing. Your item is not on the agenda, so the council by law cannot comment on it, but we can put you with city personnel to go through this, and they can fully explain it to you. Or a city manager, would you like to?
Yes, Mayor and Council, I think we will have a presentation on this item here later on the agenda. And when we present that, there will be a discussion of what the comprehensive plan is and what Freeze and Nichols will be doing and what the deliverables are. So I think, and then any other questions that you might have, if they're not answered in that presentation, then if you would call city staff, and we'll be happy to talk with you about that.
Sounds good.
Thank you, sir. Darrell Pryor.
I'm here with the zoning case. Should I proceed to speak now?
If you want to talk at the time, if the zoning case comes up, that'll be fine.
Okay, great.
Okay, that'll be fine. Oh. Karen Hall.
Karen Hall, 527 Pebble Road. I was just going to mention that you guys are always encouraging us to spend our money in Duncanville and to eat local and shop local. Well, I heard that the mayor and several of his buddies were seen dining at David's Seafood in Cedar Hill this recently, and I thought, what? So I just thought I'd mention that you were seen. Okay, so I've been serving on the Virtual Reality Innovation Commission for the past year. Several months ago, we reported to the City Council regarding our thought processes, hopes, and ideas for Duncanville as related to the EON VR school. Last month, I attended the joint meeting between the Duncanville Economic Development Corporation and City Council. I enjoyed hearing that same enthusiasm from that board as they spoke of their hopes and plans for improving Duncanville. Big difference is that they actually have a budget where anything we come up with is just wishes and dreams. But I can talk to you, and that's what I want to do, just to remind you to keep the virtual reality ideas and recommendations in mind when you make plans to invest the ED funds into our community. The DEDC has target industries that they want to bring in to maximize the impact on our city. I would hope that one of those target industries is the technology industry. I know they eventually have to get your approval on every project, and you have some input where I don't. One of the things we'd like to see happen is to make an effort to keep some of the graduates here in Duncanville, to give them a reason to work and live here. The better the DEDC does their job, the more that's a real possibility. Could we find an investor to take one of our vacant buildings and make it a high-tech hub where they can easily set up shop and write code, bouncing ideas off of and supporting one another? Can we give them some kind of a grant to stay here? Can we be supportive of our businesses who wish to invest in VR technology? Can we encourage our schools to take advantage of our investment in EON? Can we showcase some VR applications at the field house? Whatever it is, just keep in mind that and when you consider their investment decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Karen, in defense, the mayor of Cedar Hill frequently eats at Roma's because I see him. And one other caveat, the other day we were eating in Roma's and I saw the mayor of Lancaster come in and order pizza to go. But thank you, those are good points. Okay, that would end our citizens' input period, and we'll go right into our consent items, and I'll ask the city secretary if she will read the captions on those.
Item 4A, consider the minutes for the May 3rd, 2016 City Council regular meeting. Item 4B, consider a resolution of the City Council of the City of Duncanville, Texas, authorizing the annual procurement of water meters with Master Meter, Inc. and the unit amount bid through a City of Fort Worth cooperative purchasing agreement with an estimated annual expenditure amount of $107,042.75, authorizing the city manager to execute the necessary documents and providing for an effective date. Item 4C, consider a resolution of the City Council of the City of Duncanville, Texas, authorizing the procurement of sanitary sewer system manhole rehabilitation services with Insidiform Technologies, Inc. through a local government purchasing cooperative purchasing agreement in the expenditure amount of $65,000, authorizing the city manager to execute the necessary documents and providing for an effective date.
Council, you've heard the captions read. The chair will entertain a motion. There's a motion and a second to approve. Will you please vote? Thank you. Item number 5 is to conduct a public hearing and consider an ordinance of the City of Duncanville, Texas, amending the comprehensive zoning ordinance and map as heretofore amended to amend the existing LR2 local retail 2 zoning to include a special use permit to allow a religious institution, a church, on a .384 acre portion of Lot 1B, Block H, Winona Garden replat, 2.289 acres, more commonly known as 700 North Clark Road, Suite 108, in the city of Duncanville, Dallas County, Texas, and being more particularly described in Exhibit A, hereto, attached hereto and incorporated herein, providing for the approval of the site plan, which is attached hereto and incorporated herein, Exhibit B, providing special conditions, providing a repealing clause, providing a savings clause, providing a severability clause, providing a penalty of a fine not to exceed the sum of $2,000 for each offense, and providing an effective date. This is a public hearing, but prior to that, I'm going to ask Cassidy Allen to come up and explain this to us.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Chastity Allen, City Planner. The public hearing before you tonight is a request to amend the LR2 local retail zoning to include a special use permit for a church on property located at 700 North Clark Road in Suite 108. The property was developed with a multi-tenant shopping center in 2006. The shopping center is partially occupied with a variety of retail uses currently. Suites 108 and 172 are both vacant spaces, and Suite 108 has been vacant since the shopping center was constructed. The special use section of the zoning ordinance requires an institution of religious, education, or philanthropic nature located in a non-residential district to gain approval of a special use permit. So it's not just the local retail 2 district, it would be any non-residential district that would require the approval of the special use permit for a church. The church would utilize this space primarily on Sundays from 9 a.m. to noon, on Tuesday and Thursday evenings, as well as the possibility of ministry-related meetings throughout the week. The church has been occupying a temporary location here in Duncanville and is seeking the SUP for a permanent location in the city. The site does have 92 parking spaces, which would be able to accommodate approximately 100 seats, which would require 34 parking spaces for the church, in addition to the retail uses that are in the shopping center. It should be noted, though, that the church would likely have some hours of operation that would be different from some of the other tenants, so that would also alleviate any parking concern if there were any. This is the area of request. The property is located on the southeast corner of Camp Wisdom and North Clark Road. This is an aerial showing the shopping center. The suite faces Camp Wisdom Road. It is surrounded primarily by residential properties. And this is the existing zoning. Again, with a special use permit, the underlying zoning is not removed. So local retail 2 uses could continue to occupy the other spaces in the shopping center. The SUP would specifically apply to Suite 108. The applicant, Pastor Pryor, is present to answer any questions from council. I will mention that Planning and Zoning Commission did unanimously recommend approval of the request with the conditions that are provided in your staff report. They added a condition in terms of a time period, so they recommended approval for a 5-year time period with 1 5-year automatic renewal.
Thank you. Pastor Pryor, you want to come up and speak? Please, sir.
Good evening to each of you. My name is Reverend Darrell Pryor, and I am the lead pastor of Harvest Bible Fellowship Church. I would like to just start by thanking each of you for hearing our request on this evening. If you would allow, I'd like to just share a brief background of our ministry and to elaborate a little bit more about our request. As you may or may not know, Harvest Bible Fellowship is a new church plant that senses a divine call to minister within and serve the city of Duncanville. We do acknowledge that there are multiple existing churches in the area that are already doing an amazing job at serving the residents of Duncanville. But as our vision scripture, which is Matthew 9:37, informs us that the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. So we should pray to the God of the harvest that he would send forth laborers into his vineyard. Harvest Bible Fellowship Church desires to be the answer to that prayer. We are committed to coming alongside existing churches and community organizations to minister to the variety of needs within the city of Duncanville. We recently celebrated 1 year of ministry this past Easter, and the journey has been nothing short of amazing so far. As we've got started, we've enjoyed growth from 7 men and women who were praying for the good of the city to approximately 25 adult members within 1 year, of which are young families with small children, resulting in an average of 45 to 50 attendees on a weekly basis. Our current membership is predominantly comprised of first-time churchgoers in their mid-20s to late 30s, and we are privileged to enjoy ethnic diversity among our fellowship, and we're eager to continue to grow in that direction. A major component of our vision is to actively engage the residents of Duncanville through service and support. Over the past year, we have developed a vibrant relationship with the Parks and Recreation Department by making ourselves available to volunteer for major city events, and all of the events, for the most part, that are hosted at Armstrong Park that are put on by the city. Whether it is setting up or tearing down for major events or helping to run activities and booths or just simply being present to support community interaction, we make it an appointment to be present and to be there. We've been privileged to sponsor children whose parents cannot afford to send them to the city's summer camp. We've enjoyed serving and connecting with the residents of the Duncanville Health and Rehabilitation Center. In fact, we have reserved every 5th Sunday as what we call Compassion Sunday. This is where we dismiss our weekly Sunday gathering to go out into the city to meet the people and to minister to whatever needs are represented. One of the things that I have enjoyed the most over this past year has been our city prayer walks, where we just simply walk throughout the neighborhoods of Duncanville. We pray for the spiritual, for the physical, and the economic prosperity of the city. I've enjoyed having an opportunity to meet many of the residents, to hear their stories, to learn their names, to see where and how we can plug in and to be a tangible expression of God's love. And that's just been one of the highlights of our time for the past year. We desire to be a part of the good things that are taking place here in Duncanville. Our church has been meeting for the past year in the D.L. Hopkins Senior Center. We've been hosting Sunday worship services in the Parkview Room, as well as weekly Bible studies and an open prayer night in the library meeting rooms. This arrangement is a provisional opportunity without an agreeable option to renew. Our current contract will end in the fall of 2016, and as a result, we've been launched into an intense search throughout the city looking for a more permanent meeting location. And that has not been an easy search, but after doing our due diligence and much prayer, we have identified Suite 108 of the Clark Crossing Shopping Center located at 700 North Clark Road as the best opportunity for us to continue ministering within the city. We are aware that there have been some concerns expressed about potential parking issues at this property, but I'd like to emphasize that the shopping center has approximately 92 parking spaces, and we intend to have approximately 100 seats, therefore requiring only 34 parking spaces. And based on the required parking for all uses in the building, there is sufficient parking on site. We are committed to being good neighbors. Therefore, should we experience growth during our time there, we are prepared to offer multiple worship services on Sundays to manage the traffic flow and to prevent overflow parking. We're also prepared to host our small group Bible studies off-site to prevent overflow parking on Tuesday nights as well. In regards to the parking accommodations for the other tenants in the shopping center, I'd like to emphasize that not only is there sufficient parking on site for all tenants, but the operating hours for the church are primarily different from the other tenants in the building. It is our understanding that Suite 108 of the Clark Crossing Shopping Center has been vacant since its construction in 2006. And since this property has been on our radar, we have observed that on the Camp Wisdom side of the building, there has been a significant amount of foot traffic as loiterers, they gather regularly on the steps outside of the vacant suite. We seek to bring stability to the property by occupying the suite and perhaps minimize the loitering and redirect idle activity towards productive interaction. In summation, through community involvement, service, and spiritual support, Harvest Bible Fellowship Church is committed to growing as an asset to the city of Duncanville And by issuing us this special use permit, you will be helping us to become established as a resource within the city. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who would like to speak either for or against this ordinance or SUP?
I'm Elaine McCallum. I have lived at 711 Kiwi Place for 45 years, and my property is located to the east and south of the shopping center. And I have been a homeowner in Duncanville since 1963. And this was to be a neighborhood shopping center, yet we're still waiting. My opposition is that there would be an increase of traffic coming in and out of Kiwi, and there would be a temptation of parking on Kiwi rather than the west end, and there would be more noise. Kiwi is used for parking in the shade during the summertime and parking just to park, and for leaving broken vehicles until someone comes back later for repair. And I'm opposing these changes. It seemed inevitable that we would no longer be successful because of the growth of landlocked in Duncanville. That's why we, after opposing the changing, for several years, we decided to work with the developer, who was Mario Gonzalez, and we made agreements with him, and one was no entrance onto Kiwi Place. And there was an entrance put on Kiwi Place from the shopping center, and traffic is constantly turning from Camp Wisdom onto Kiwi, going into the shopping center, and they speed through, drive to the gas station, and to avoid the light and avoid the proper turn. And that has been a problem with us. There's no stop sign, and we have to yield to that traffic. And there have been other problems around there for us, and it's become a high crime area because I've had people coming on to my property, and at one time last fall, someone went over climbed over the wall and came on to my property and through my property, and they were later apprehended on Casa Grande, but I later found a gun which had been left behind, and the police said that it was a 9mm, and the magazine was full and one in the chamber, and this is where my grandchildren play. And there have been several things that have happened that I've had to call the police. And I'm just concerned about more traffic coming in and the crime in our area, and more noise. And I'm not opposed to churches. I attend church several times a week, but I don't want all the other traffic, and I don't know where they get 92 parking spaces. My son counted 56, and my property has been used for other people to come in and be vagrants. There are homeless people around there, and on the east end, people come and park and meet up and hook up. And on the north side of the wall, there have been people who congregate and party because I clean up their mess. I clean up the beer cans and the trash, and I have picked up needles left behind, but there's something going on there all the time. And even today, there was a police helicopter circling the area for 20 minutes, and that isn't unusual. but I'm concerned about the crime, and I'm concerned about more traffic in our area. And I know that some things can't be regulated, but I would ask you to consider our position in the neighborhood. It hasn't been easy for any of us. And thank you for the opportunity to speak. And I have some pictures that my neighbor had taken of some of the area, and I would like to leave those. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else who would like to speak either for or against?
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Mario Gonzalez, and I'm one of the owners of the shopping center.
Mario, I'll give your address.
Give 6711 Starbuck Drive, Dallas, Texas, 75252. We built the shopping center a few years back, and we went through Public Works, and we addressed a lot of comments and issues through the neighbors. And I know her concern. Our place is being empty for some time now. And we feel that a place like this one that is coming, a place to pray, it will help our shopping center bring a lot more credibility. And hopefully that will address less crime, as the lady mentioned. We are concerned, and we have worked with the neighbors before in good faith. In fact, we purchased a home from Mr. Mueller that was on the, I believe, on the south side to put a left turn lane, and we put a fence. And also during that time with Public Works, we put the entrance on Kiwi more towards the east, where the traffic will not enter Kiwi Street. So if you look at the site plan, most of the traffic will not, and I repeat, enter Kiwi Street. So they go directly into the shopping center. And with all due respect, I don't see any traffic going into Kiwi. Most enter right away into our shopping center. But we are willing to work with the residents and their concerns. I mean, we're willing to put some trees, extra trees, landscape, and we're doing this in good faith because we want to occupy the space. And we feel that a place of prayer, like a church, and with good work ethic and values is going to help the city, and it's going to help the residents, and I really feel strongly that it's going to help our shopping center. So thank you for your help, and I hope you consider our request to approve it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anybody else who would like to speak either for or against? Chair will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
There's a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Will you please vote? Okay. Thank you. Had a hard time getting the lights on. There is the item under consideration right now. The chair will entertain a motion concerning this item. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Thomas.
Well, I move to disapprove this motion, Mayor.
Okay, there's a motion to disapprove. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Now, discussion.
I'd like to speak to my motion. As a city council member, I have a fiduciary duty to preserve, one thing I have a duty to is preserve any commercial property values. And although I'm a believer and I'm very thankful for this fellowship being in the heart of Duncanville and the ministries that they have, it is my duty as a council member to protect the commercial property value of Duncanville.
Okay, further discussion? There's a motion on the floor to disapprove. Seeing no further discussion, will you please vote? Okay, thank you very much. Item number B is to consider an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Duncanville, Texas, approving a negotiated settlement between Atmos City's Steering Committee and Atmos Energy Corporation, Mid-Texas Division, regarding the company's 2016 rate review mechanism filings, declaring existing rates to be unreasonable, adopting tariffs that reflect rate adjustments consistent with the negotiated settlement, finding the rates to be set by the settlement tariff to be just and reasonable and in public interest, requiring the company to reimburse ACSC's reasonable rate-making expenses, determining that the ordinance was passed in accordance with the requirements of the Texas Open Meetings Act, adopting a savings clause, declaring an effective date, and requiring delivery of this ordinance to the company and the ASCS legal counsel. Richard.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Yes, there were two options when to look at the rate review mechanism is one of the methods that is used by the entity to Atmos to consider a rate increase. And the Atmos City's Steering Committee, they opted to use the rate review mechanism rather than the GRIP, which GRIP stands for Gas Reliability Infrastructure Program. And so by considering this under the RRM, there was approximately $11 million in savings less under the RRM versus the GRIP. And so the recommendation is to consider approval of this ordinance that would adopt that negotiated rate.
Okay. Chair will entertain a motion.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve. Discussion, questions? Councilwoman Thomas?
I'd like Richard Sumlin to explain the savings to the city.
Well, this will be to residents and to, of course, to businesses that use Atmos. And so essentially, if we had not negotiated this rate, there would be the $11 million wouldn't be just necessarily to the city of Duncanville, but the entire region-wide increase would have been $11 million. And so was that the...
If I could also further explain, Atmos approached the Railroad Commission with a rate increase request. The Atmos City Steering Committee filed a counter to that, and then, as Richard explained, there are two different mechanisms to reevaluate that rate increase. They chose the rate review mechanism, which had a savings of $11 million, had the other option for reviewing that rate been chosen. However, the rate increase there is still a rate increase, so there is not a savings to citizens of Duncanville, but it's less of an increase than it could have been. Atmos originally filed a request for $35.4 million in additional revenues under the rate review mechanism. Then that increase was reduced to $29.9 million. To the average household, they will see an increase of about $1.26 per month on their gas bill, and commercial property would see an average increase of about $3.80 per month. But had that full increase gone in to effect that was requested by Atmos, it would have been a higher increase to our residents. So there is not a savings to the residents or a decrease, but there is less of an increase, I guess, if you will. So some small consolation in that, I guess, if that explains your.
And those, also those, as Kevin mentioned, those rates and that average effect on a consumer bill is based on current gas prices. So, depending on where those prices go, it could be, more or less.
Okay, further questions, comments? Oh, Councilwoman Jameson.
Yes, would you clarify what you just said? Because we didn't talk about that earlier. That if there's a rate increase, that would be in addition to?
Well, I'm saying that this is the rates, that they calculated the rates. They're constantly adjusting for the price of natural gas. And so this is the rate that they calculated, and there's ceilings to that. But what I'm saying is that if the price of natural gas fluctuates, so if it would go down, then that amount that Kevin shared that they calculated might be even less.
Okay. Has it ever gone down?
It has been going down tremendously for the last several years. We've got some of the cheapest natural gas prices that we've seen in history.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Okay, is there any further discussion concerning this? We have the Atmos representative here, Corey Green. Corey, did you want to comment or anything?
As things were presented, excuse me, in Q&A, I'm very comfortable with all the answers that were provided. They're very consistent with the information that's been provided to me from our rates and regulatory.
Thank you, sir. Okay, seeing no further lights, will you please vote? Okay, thank you very much. Item number C is to consider a resolution of the City of Duncanville, Texas, approving the terms and conditions of a professional service agreement in the proposed amount of $213,000 for professional services for the development of a comprehensive plan in accordance with the scope of work and contract requirements, including herein with Freeze and Nichols Incorporated, authorizing the city manager to execute the necessary documents and providing for an effective date. Chastity Allen, please.
Again, Chastity Allen, City Planner. Well, we're very excited to be at this point in our comprehensive planning process. Just to give a brief overview on what a comprehensive plan is, it's really a long-range planning tool to be used to cast a vision for the direction of the city over the next 20 to 30 years. It'll be used as a guide to help us to frame our policy decisions as we move forward. It'll be used by stakeholders, including the business community, citizens, P&Z, city council, staff, and so it's a very important document. The plan will be updated every 5 to 10 years to ensure that it's moving in the right direction. I will note also that the comprehensive plan really is developed by the public. There is a large public engagement process, and part of the efforts that have occurred so far back in 2015 was the creation of the Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee. And that steering committee is made up of 12 representatives and 4 alternates representing the various council districts, as well as Economic Development Corporation, the chamber, the school district, the Neighborhood Vitality Commission, and P&Z. And so they represent primarily the stakeholders of the community, and they will really be the group that will be guiding the development of the plan. They've already been meeting. There's some of them here tonight. Thank you all for, for coming. I've been working very hard already through this process. They were critical in developing some of the questions that we used throughout the RFQ and interview process. We also had members of the committee as part of the selection group for selecting the consultant. We've been pretty much meeting every month. The first Monday of the month is when we've been meeting. And so we're finally at this point where we can bring forward the contract for award before council. And again, the request tonight is to approve the resolution for this professional services agreement with Friesen Nichols. The RFQ was issued in January of 2016, and we had 5 responses. We interviewed 4 firms, all very large, great firms. We really actually had a very good problem to have. It was a choice between best and better and great and greatest and all that. And so the selection team did decide on Friesen Nichols as the most qualified, based on the overall experience of the firm, the proposed project scope, which, to answer the gentleman's question, the project scope was also included in the packet. It is available on the website for review if anyone wants to know further detail in terms of the full scope of the project. The ability to produce a unique plan to Duncanville. That was very important for the steering committee and for staff, that this plan be very unique to Duncanville, what we need, what our wants are, what our desires are, and so that will certainly be fed also by our public engagement process. And then the overall project team, which was presented throughout the interview process. Tonight we do have Wendy Chabet, which is Vice President and Principal in charge of this planning team, with us tonight with Friesen Nichols, if you all have any questions for her. Again, the comprehensive plan is expected to be completed in 2017. And the general schedule is included with the project cost. And they have come back with a proposed cost of $213,000, which, as we mentioned, has been broken out in your packets as well. There will be a need to discuss future scope of services at some point beyond comp plan approval. After comprehensive plans are adopted, there's generally an implementation component, and one of those things is generally to update our ordinances and regulations to align with the vision. We want to make sure that we've cast this vision, but we want to make sure that we have ordinances that support that. And so that will likely be another phase of the project that we will revisit as well and further refine that as we move forward. And I'm available for questions, as well as Wendy Chabet.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Harvey.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the presentation that you made. Is this our first foray as a community to do this type of plan?
We have had small area plans like the Downtown Master Plan, but this is the first comprehensive citywide plan. And the comprehensive plan really will address everything from land use, economic development, infrastructure and transportation, parks and rec, housing and neighborhoods. So really every component. This will be the very first time that we've had a comprehensive view of our entire city.
And so the comprehensive plan then will serve as a foundation on which future plans would be built on, like, for example, thoroughfare plan, park and recreation, that sort of thing.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilwoman Jamison.
I just wonder if we could speak with the lady from Friesen Nichols.
Yes, Wendy.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Hi.
Hi. Have you done this in other cities?
Yes, ma'am, we have. I've been with Friesen Nichols 11 years. We've done, in our history, we've done about 100 comprehensive plans. Our planning group at Friesen Nichols is about 20 people, and this is the main thing that we do. We produce comprehensive plans for cities, so we've got several active right now, and this is our main point of work of which we do within our group.
Oh, within your group, I was going to say, because you do a lot of things, Freeze and Nichols.
Oh, we do a lot, and not everyone knows that we do have a 20-person planning group, and this is a big majority of our planning group's work.
Okay. Can you give us some examples of cities that you...
Sure. We, oh my goodness, we've done just nearby. We have worked on Cedar Hills. We just finished Balch Springs. We're working on Granberries. We're doing, done some work for Wichita Falls back when Kevin was there. We have worked on multiple cities around the DFW area, quite a few down around Houston, Stafford, Jersey Village, several in the Austin area. Most of our work is primarily in Texas, but we are doing a couple up in Oklahoma as well.
Okay. Well, sounds like you have a good background then. Thank you.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Harvey.
Thank you, Mayor. You have an individual with the firm by the name of Sefco.
Yes, sir.
Could you speak briefly about him? I am familiar with his work.
Okay. So we acquired, Freeze and Nichols actually acquired Duncan Sefco back about 9 years ago. And Dan Sefco was the principal of them. Again, he had done quite a few comprehensive plans, and they had a real expertise in that area. Dan is still with our firm. He is in the Austin office. At this point, he provides a lot of technical guidance to us. He serves as an expert witness on different cases. He does a lot of annexation, and so he is a real technical advisor to our staff in terms of making sure that land use, anything related, certainly in zoning, are compatible with state law, and he QCs our work. And on this particular project, he will serve as a QC role and a quality control role.
You know, one of the things when they presented the Freeze and Nichols as the committee choice, one of the things that impressed me more than anything else is that, yes, they're very experienced. They've done a lot of this. But they come to Duncanville to do a Duncanville plan. It's not a cookie-cutter plan. It's something that will be unique to Duncanville. And when you go through the full process, I think that we'll have a very, very good outcome when we get the full report.
Thank you, Mayor. We were very excited, and we were very excited to talk to the committee, even the interview, and brainstorm ideas and understand, part of what's important to you. And as the gentleman asked earlier, just in terms of values, that's one of the first things that we will be doing is really diving into what are your issues, what are important to you, developing guiding principles and goals, and especially since this is your first time to do a citywide plan, that is very important for us to go through that exercise. So there are a number of meetings throughout the process to help us develop that.
Further questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
If there are no further questions, see, we have a motion and a second on the floor. So this time, will you please vote? Still missing some? Okay, thank you. Item number D is to consider a resolution of the City Council of the City of Duncanville, Texas, approving submittal of fiscal year 2016 Community Development Block Grant Project activities, applications for the CDBG funds to Dallas County, authorizing the city manager to accept such funds and execute all necessary paperwork and project implementation agreements and providing for an effective date. Mike?
Mayor, council members, it's a pleasure to be here tonight to talk to you about the Community Development Block Grant Fund for this upcoming year. What we are requesting of the council tonight is to submit the 2016 Community Development Block Grant excuse me, project activity application for CDBG funds with Dallas County. The city applies for grants through the CDBG program in Dallas County to be applied to low and medium or moderate, income areas of the city. If you recall from the public hearing a couple of weeks ago, I showed you a map that showed the various areas of the city where 51% of the population is at or below the low moderate income level. And so grants have been utilized for the funding of a code enforcement officer for every year. According to the records I saw, it said since 2001, we've actually funded a code enforcement inspector. And funds have also been used to assist in funding water, sewer improvements, street improvements, or park improvements. The city was notified by Dallas County that funds in the amount of $225,753 were available for fiscal year 2016 budget in the CDBG program. That's the equivalent of 2 years of funding, as we will not receive funding next year. And what happened is the program changed. It was implemented in 2015, where it went from an annual program to an every other year program. So that's why there's 2 years worth of funding listed here, the $225,000. Staff suggests a portion of these funds be allocated for 2-year funding of a code enforcement officer. We are also, and again, draw your attention to that map. That's the low and moderate income areas. And I'd like to just point out, because I'll be talking in a little bit about this dark blue area and the yellow area to the south, based on comments that were made at the public hearing a couple of weeks ago. In addition to continued funding for the code enforcement officer, we're recommending a wastewater improvement project in the easement between Steger Drive to west of Hill City Drive, north of Pebble Road, which is about right there. And then this project would benefit 25 homes at a cost of $21,938 to the city. Now, if you add that to the cost of the code enforcement inspector, that's where you come up with the funding level that's shown in your staff report. Here's another display of where that easement line is at. The houses on the north side of Lakeside actually sewer back to the sewer line in this easement. There's also a sewer line in Pebble. These lots actually sewer to this sewer line, but both these lots and this tier of lots right here actually go back to the sewer that's in this easement. This is just an overhead picture of that same easement line. In addition, a request was received at the public hearing to consider wastewater improvements in the River Oaks addition. So in response, what we did is we looked at an alternate project that could be built along Softwood Drive between Meadowcrest Lane and 326 Softwood Drive, and in the easement between Softwood Drive and Linkwood Drive. So this is these two sewer lines right here. Now, this project would benefit 17 homes at a cost of $28,318 to the city. So the staff, again, an overhead picture of that same easement lines. The staff is recommending that we actually construct the wastewater line in the easement up on the north side of town due to the greater benefit to the greater number of homes for less cost. And then at the public hearing, I wanted to make sure and address, there was a comment made that the city had not done any improvements in the River Oaks addition. And basically in 2012, we rebuilt 3 wastewater lines down there. And again, these are the streets. And in 2014, we rebuilt 2 additional wastewater lines between these streets. And also, the River Oaks project had been considered for fiscal year 17 reconstruction as part of the 5-year utility plan for the city. With that, I'd be happy to take your questions. Let me just again recap. CDBG funds can be used for various projects or programs as long as non-code projects have a budget of at least $70,000 and the project meets one of 3 national objectives: eliminates blight, it eliminates a community-threatening condition, it principally benefits low and moderate income people. Projects must be in the defined area where 51% of the population that directly benefit are of low and moderate income, and that's those 2 areas that I showed you on the map. So to qualify as low and moderate, the maximum household income must be between $39,450 and $74,350 per year. So again, our recommendation is to continue with the code enforcement officer and to pursue the wastewater improvements up off of Steger Drive. With that, I'll be happy to answer your questions.
Councilman Swartz?
Turn my mic on here. I'm in favor of doing the project that staff's recommending, but I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
On the east side of that project, that sewer line turns and goes north for 2 houses to a clean out.
Yes, sir.
Since we're in the backyards anyway, and we got city money going into this project, we've got non-CBDG funds going into it. Is there any consideration to go ahead and, relaying that line all the way up to the clean out?
Up to the clean out? No, sir. I don't know of any objections. That's something we would certainly be glad to consider doing as part of the project.
I just think you're in there messing up yards anyway, so might as well mess up 2 more.
Okay. Any further questions? Oh, Councilwoman Thomas.
So what this will stop is during heavy rains, the sewer comes out of those manholes. Is that right? Is that what we're trying to fix?
I can't say that specifically that occurs on this line, but what is critical here is the age of our infrastructure is so old that we can just about throw a dart anywhere on the map and hit an old line where we've had problems. So we actually have had a number of maintenance issues on this line. I'm not aware of any overflows, but I do know that we've had maintenance issues on these lines.
Okay,
so that's why they were selected.
Any further questions? Mr. Swartz, if you want those other 2 houses that extended a little bit, you want to include that in the motion?
Yeah, these right here.
Well,
those are 2 different
I would
funds.
like it to be studied.
Oh, okay. All right.
To be considered, I guess.
I don't think we need to include them in the CDBG project, but we can look at it when we get ready to do the work.
Yes.
Okay. The chair will entertain a motion then concerning this item.
I move to approve, and with option 1.
Motion and a second to approve with option 1 is the desired project for the council. Further discussion? Please vote. Okay, thank you. I just received a note from the city secretary, said she did not show that we'd had a motion on the Freeze and Nichols. I believe that we had. Do y'all recall? Was there?
I didn't think we did.
Oh, we did not? Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. We've already voted. Let's re-vote since we've got a motion now. Please vote. Okay. Does that take care of it? Okay, thank you. Item number E is to consider a resolution of the City Council of the City of Duncanville, Texas, renaming field number 5 at Harrington Park to D. Carlisle Field, authorizing placement of signage and providing an effective date. Bart?
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I'm Bart Stevenson. I'm the Director of Parks and Recreation. Appreciate the opportunity to come and speak before you tonight on this subject. Back in this past March, staff was made aware of DBBI's desire to rename field number 5 at Harrington Park after their former past president, D. Carlisle. Now, I don't consider myself new anymore, but this is the first time I've received a request of this nature to either name a park or rename a portion of a park in my tenure. So I immediately went to our Code of Ordinances to find out what the process was to consider such a request. I was a little surprised to find that we don't currently have an ordinance that addresses this issue. So before we move forward, I want you to know that we are quickly moving forward with addressing this issue by creating an ordinance. In fact, it's already been to the Park Board at their meeting last week. We anticipate taking a draft copy of that ordinance to them at their June meeting and back to you for your consideration in July. So undoubtedly, this will not be the last time this request has come forward, so we see that it's very important that we codify the process moving forward. Due to extenuating circumstances that were discussed in the briefing session tonight, we decided to go ahead and move forward with their request to rename the park after D. Carlisle.
Not the park, with the field.
Just
field
the
number
field.
5.
Field number 5, correct. They provided documentation to staff outlining the accomplishments and the contributions of Mr. Carlisle. On April 11th, the Park Board considered this request, and this is a change from what was in your packet because I failed to hit save apparently when I made that change. But it is April 11th that the Park Board considered this request, and I have provided that change to our City Secretary as well. But the Park Board unanimously agreed that this request be approved. Field number 5, just for everyone's knowledge, is located here in the northeast quadrant. As you come in from the parking lot, it's the field immediately to your left. So, a few highlights of Mr. Carlisle's contributions. He's been in coaching baseball for over 35 years. The past 16 years, he's been heavily involved with DBBI and in multiple roles in offices and terms, everything from a coach to a CD liaison, age group commissioner, concessions director. He's been vice president 3 different times and president 3 different times. Some of the additional Duncanville contributions Mr. Carlisle has provided to our city is he's assisted with the establishment of the Duncanville Girls Softball Association. He was the campus secretary and in-school suspension teacher at Central Elementary for a number of years. And for almost 20 years, he's been the senior pastor at Fair Meadows Baptist Church. There you'll see the sign that they have proposed to place on the fence, the backstop of field number 5. It is 12 inches by 24 inches. With that, I'm going to invite Craig Slaughter. He is also a past president of DPBI to come say a few words about Mr. Carlisle.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. Again, my name is Craig Slaughter, board member for Duncanville Boys Baseball. I've been a board member for a little over 10 years, been past president, vice president, served on different parts of the board. Also coached Duncanville Boys Baseball team here in Duncanville for the past 13 years, 2 different teams. One of our board members had typed up a bio. I'm going to repeat a lot of the things that Bart just said. I'd like to read that to you, just get you to know more about the man, D. Carlisle, and why we want to honor him with this. And I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to type this up, so I'm reading it from my phone, so excuse me. The following is a short biography of what D. Carlisle has contributed to the DBBI which is Duncanville Boys Baseball Incorporated, and the city of Duncanville. D. Carlisle has been coaching baseball for over 35 years, from T-ball to the college level. But what he has selfishly given to the Duncanville is remarkable. D started coaching for Duncanville Boys Baseball in 2000. He joined the board of directors in 2001 while continuing to coach and held the following offices. 2012, he was 11-12U commissioner. 2013 and 14, the concession stand director. 2005, vice president. 2006, president and city liaison. 2007, vice president and city liaison. 2008, president and city liaison. 2009, vice president and city liaison. 2010, assistant to the president and city liaison. 2011 and 12, president and city liaison. 2013 till present has been an associate board member. He also assisted with the Duncanville deputies of Texas Collegiate Wood Bat League. He was the head varsity coach at Trinity Christian in Cedar Hill in 2007-2008. He has been a minister at Duncanville Fair Meadows Baptist Church since 1997. Since 2000, D and his church have helped to food an average of 30 families each year with a Christian Time food basket. He was the campus secretary and in-school suspension teacher at Central Elementary from 2003 to 2011. He assisted in getting Duncanville girls softball established and organized. D has spent many hours giving private lessons for hitting and pitching, usually free, to assist those kids that can't afford to go and pay for private lessons of their own. He's also always wanted to help new coaches break into the game and develop the passion for baseball that he had for years. He has given financial support to those in need in the event that they could afford to play sports. He is married with 3 children. He has a son who's 19 who played with DBBI, 2 girls, one is 17 who plays soccer, and 1 7 who also plays in DBBI as of now. He put a motto on his pledge sheets for his baseball players when he coached. They had to sign it, give a copy to their parents, and memorize it. Those players were held accountable by the team and the family while they played for D. He still to this day sees former players that come up to him and recite the motto when they see D. Now that is making an impact. I personally know D myself. Like I said, I've been coaching here for 15 years, and he was the president when I started coaching, and he's given more than anybody to this league that I know of, and I really hope that you'll approve this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Chair will entertain a motion.
Push the right button. Mayor, I move to approve.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Okay. Ms. Jameson, did you have your light on?
Yes, I would like to ask you a question. You seem to know so much about him. Does he live in Duncanville?
Yes, ma'am, he does. I couldn't tell you exactly his address, but he does live here in Duncanville, yes.
That's okay. I kept asking, no one knew. So he lives in Duncanville.
Yes, ma'am. I believe he lives over close to Fair Meadows Baptist Church, but I can't tell you his address. I don't know. I really don't.
That's okay.
That just never come up. We talk baseball, not where we
I
live.
would, I would just like for him to live here. Not in the park after him.
Understand.
Okay.
Anything else?
No. Thank you, sir. Okay, there's a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. Would you please vote? Okay, thank you. Item number F is to consider a resolution of the City Council of the City of Duncanville, Texas, awarding the bid number IFB 16-12 to Ken Do Contracting LP for fiscal year 2016 sidewalk improvements, which is attached here to as Exhibit A in the amount of $56,215 based on the pricing set forth in Exhibit B, which is attached here to and incorporated herein, authorizing the city manager to, or his designee, to issue and execute the appropriate purchase and/or work orders and providing an effective date. Mike?
Thank you, Mayor. Again, it's my pleasure to address you this evening. The staff is requesting the council consideration of a resolution approving this bid number, as the mayor stated, with Ken Duke Contracting, who we've had experience with. They're an excellent contractor, in the amount of $356,215. The project includes approximately 5,000 linear feet of sidewalks and approximately 1,500 feet of what's called decomposed granite trail, and I will show you those on a series of slides here, including associated street and landscaping repairs and appurtenances. The annual sidewalk program emphasizes accessible routes and pedestrian safety, compliance with the ADA Act to remove barriers and construct new sidewalks where gaps exist are among the goals of the program to create a more walkable community. And the city's commitment to this program, and this, I apologize for this statement being in the staff report and being in this presentation. When this was written, I believe the individual was referring to the 2015 sidewalk program, which was recently completed, and it was entirely within the Fair Meadows addition. I actually have the report and all of the exhibits for that. So again, my apology for the confusion on that. If approved, this contract will require an amendment to the general fund balance to reallocate funds to the general fund street maintenance contract services account. Savings are from the 2015 street maintenance budget are available to cover the overrun, and a separate agenda item will request an ordinance to approve a budget amendment to transfer funds from the general fund balance to the general fund street maintenance contractual services account. And again, this is one of these projects where we're actually combining contracts to try to get a better price. This is kind of a master location map showing the locations of the sidewalk projects and the barrier-free ramps. Again, I'll remind you that's what the acronym BFR is in your exhibits. First one is a 6-foot wide sidewalk next to Lewis Nichols Park. We actually made that a 6-foot walk because it is adjacent to a park. It does tie into an existing, 5-foot sidewalk at the very north end where it's green, and down at the very bottom of the exhibit where it's green, that's also a 5-foot walk. But we propose to transition this and make it a 6-foot walk, again, because of the presence of the park. At Duncanville High School, and this one's one that you almost have to see to appreciate, if you're heading south on Cedar Ridge, what happens is when you get to the north end of the high school, where the existing sidewalk is right here, you actually have to proceed south. You have to actually go behind a wrought iron fence and walk almost the entire distance down to this driveway. Now there's an opening in the fence right in here, but if you're up here, you actually have you feel like you're walking into the school property itself, and you're not sure that you're going to stay along the roadway. There's a furrow in the grass right here that shows that people are walking there at the present time. And the other thing that makes it a little more confusing is there's a sliding gate right at this driveway, and we've seen that gate closed and locked before. So if you're not aware of that one small opening, you might get to that gate and wonder how you're going to get out. This is, again, to take care of the people that are walking on that roadway, as that trail would be our evidence of that. So again, it's a little unusual, but there's a good reason for why we want to build a sidewalk on the outside of the fence up against the curb. We've also got a sidewalk about 1,100 feet along Daniel-Dale. We've got about 200 square yards of drive approaches that we intend to replace, and we'll install 10 barrier-free ramps on this section. There's another section of Daniel-Dale that goes further to the east to Green Tree, and we've got 2 barrier-free ramps that we propose to build, one at either end, but then we will install almost 1,200 feet of sidewalk on this side of Daniel-Dale. And what that allows is it allows this subdivision right here, along with all the others, to have access down Daniel-Dale to Clark and the retail area that exists there. So this would give them a continuous sidewalk to make that, that walk. Here's the decomposed granite sidewalk and that we proposed. We've got Mizell Drive on the north and Center Street on the south. We do have this Magellan pipeline that we have to cross twice in order to build this trail. The reason that it's on this alignment is because of the condition of the existing creek near the north end, near Mizell. The creek is very flat and able to be negotiated on the east side of the pipeline. If we were to try to move to the west side of the pipeline, the creek is deep and very well defined. We'd have to build a bridge or some type of structure across that creek. So we feel like it's not only less expensive, we feel like it's much safer to do the tie-in as we've proposed. We've got, on this page, we show actually no new sidewalks, but a number of barrier-free ramps. We propose to build 9 barrier-free ramps in the Big Stone Gap area. Here's Big Stone right here. Again, trying to improve walkability for people with disabilities of different kinds. Here we have 234 linear feet of sidewalk and 5 barrier-free ramps along Camp Wisdom. And then we also have 12 barrier-free ramps that we propose to build further on Camp Wisdom up towards Oriole. And again, to improve the walkability for people with disabilities. So with that, that concludes my presentation for this evening. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to try to answer them.
Councilman Swartz.
The 6-foot sidewalk on South Cockrell Hill adjacent to Lewis Nichols Park, is that going to be adjacent to the curb, or will that be pulled back into the park?
The intent is to build it back a curb. Now, we can work with the Parks Department if they would like to see us move it. There's no reason we can't, but we propose to build it actually adjacent to the curb line.
Just curious. And then, and I have talked to the city manager about this, there's a history at the Duncanville High School of why that sidewalk is inside the fence. And it was to keep the students, after they were dismissed, from crossing a 6-lane thoroughfare at their choice. We wanted to dictate where they crossed, and that was a combination of meetings with the school district as well as our police department at that time. I know principals have changed, police chiefs have changed, and Certainly, public works directors have changed, but that was the reason it was built inside the fence, was to keep them from crossing Cedar Ridge, going over to Rolling Ridge and some of those areas. So there's always people that will walk illegally, and that's why you see the pig trail out there.
Understood. Yes, we actually did coordinate the construction of this sidewalk with the school district. We talked to Dr. Ray about that, and we have talked to our police department about it, and they both support the construction of sidewalk where it is shown on the exhibit. So, but yes, I had heard some of that history.
Councilwoman Thomas.
I've got two issues. The sidewalk along Cocker Hill and the Daniel Dale one. Has there been any consultation with the park department and the bike lanes, and if those could be like 8 foot, so that there could be bike lanes along Daniel Dale and Cocker Hill?
I can tell you, ma'am, we've had no discussions with parks because of the limited right-of-way that's available to make those sidewalks that wide, to turn them into trails. I believe and I may ask Bart to correct me if I'm wrong, or Tim, that usually they try to get a trail width of about 12 feet, I think, and there's just not enough right-of-way available.
So along Daniel Dale, there's not?
There's not, nor Cockrell Hill.
Even if it goes into the park?
Oh, in the park, yes. Now that's something we could do, yes, instead of that 6-foot sidewalk.
Because that's a busy road, and if the kids are riding their bicycles, it'd be great if they had a trail to come down, and they wouldn't have to ride along Cocker Hill or through the neighborhood.
We'll talk to the Parks Department and see if that's something that we can do. We can certainly substitute that for the concrete sidewalk and build a trail similar to what we were doing along that Magellan pipeline.
Yeah, I know it's more expensive, but in the long run, it's cheaper because you wouldn't have you build a sidewalk, and later on, you want to come in and put a trail, and if we just do it all at one time. And then the Camp Wisdom one, that piece of Camp Wisdom is, the road is very, yeah. And I'm thinking if you're going to do, it's like putting lipstick on a pig. And you're going to have to, at some point, that street it's going to need to be redone. And why are we spending money on the barrier-free ramps when the street is, I mean, it's got, sometimes the potholes are that big in it?
Well, again, they're driven by two different needs. One's vehicles and one is pedestrians.
But when you're doing, what I'm saying is that when you do the whole street, then you do the barrier-free ramps. And when we put in, aren't we going to revitalize that when we put in the 67 Surge Road on the south side?
No, ma'am, not to my knowledge. Not this section of Camp Wisdom.
Yeah, I-20. I said 67. I mean I-20, the other freeway. Anyway, that's just my concern, to spend money doing this when the street needs to be redone, and then we could do it all at one time.
That is clearly an option if you would want to reallocate these funds to a different location and hold them, because again, we're not proposing to build the roadway for quite some time. These sidewalks would be delayed, or these barrier-free ramps would be delayed until we built the entire roadway instead of providing them now. That would, but again, that's certainly a council's choice if you want us to hold off building those ramps.
I do know there's a lot of foot traffic. It comes up from Dallas and the hotels, so I see it a lot. And sidewalks over there are important, but anyway, you're the expert, just asking.
We can take a look at that. That is a good question, and we have been talking about that area as far as revitalization. We don't really have any plans right now as to when that would be or what all that would include, but as we have further discussions, we can look at this and kind of keep this one in mind. And before we would do this, we would have those discussions with y'all.
With the council, yeah. No objections at all.
Further questions? Okay, thank you. Chair will entertain a motion. Motion is second. Seeing no further lights, will you please vote? Okay, thank you. Item number G is consider a resolution of the City Council of the City of Duncanville, Texas, authorizing the city manager of the City of Duncanville to award a bid to APEC-Texas Incorporated to furnish all labor, materials, and equipment required to perform fiscal year 15-16 hot mix asphalt overlays based on the bid and contract which is set forth as Exhibit A in the amount not to exceed $400,000, utilizing the interlocal agreement with Dallas County, authorizing the city manager to execute appropriate purchase orders and providing for an effective date. Mike?
Mayor, again, thank you. This is another ongoing program where this is not the first time that we have requested funding through the interlocal agreement with Dallas County. We're requesting, as you mentioned, the expenditure of $400,000 for the 2015-2016 hot mix asphalt overlay program. This is a program I mentioned earlier that was actually combined together in order to create a larger program to attract, hopefully, the bigger and better contractors because we had problems last year with that problem. The economy's busy, contractors are busy, and our contracts just aren't large enough to compete. But the street overlay this year would consist of placing almost 6,000 tons of hot mix asphaltic concrete. The overlay program will cover both asphalt streets, both with and without curb and gutter. Here's a map showing all of the streets that we are proposing in this program. And I wanted to anticipate one question. There is a section of Lodema Lane right here at Omaha that is actually concrete curb and gutter. I'm not sure why that section is concrete. It looks to me like it may have been improved to install 2 low-point curb inlets and control some drainage up there. And so there's just one section, maybe 150 feet long of concrete. Obviously, we won't overlay that section, but we'll bring the overlay up to it on either side. And then I also wanted to make sure and point out, because it has raised questions, is we have greenstone, as you can see, all the way from Daniel Dale to the north in this program. So that's been a fairly frequent request we've received. There's been a master interlocal cooperative purchasing agreement that was approved by Dallas County on January 8th of 2013. APEC Texas contract recently renewed for overlays at $66.37 per ton through their competitive bidding process. And the actual quote from APAC for our quantity is $392,611.79. We're asking you to award $400,000 because overlay programs are very, very difficult to put very strict limits on them. And oftentimes there's a place where you may want to extend the overlay an additional few feet to cover up a bad spot in the street. So again, that's why we're asking for the additional money, is to have that flexibility to do a proper overlay and again, take care of problems with our roadways. If approved, this contract will require an amendment to the general fund balance to reallocate funds to the general fund street maintenance contract services account. Savings from the 2015 street department budget are available since we did not do the overlay program this last year. And there's a separate agenda item that requests an ordinance to approve a budget amendment to make that transfer of funds. So with that, that concludes my presentation. I'll be glad to answer your questions or do my best to try.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Move to approve.
Second. There's a motion and a second to approve. Are there any further discussion or questions? Seeing, Councilman Swart.
Again, just a comment. Certainly, the southern part of the overlay on Greenstone, that street's been overlaid before.
Yes, sir.
And we're not milling this time. So where those driveways come out, the contractor's going to have to take particular care to keep from bottoming out as the cars come out of the driveways, because we're raising another 1.5 inches.
Well, I've talked to the street superintendent about that because I anticipated that question because of the role that's there. And what we'll do on this is, rather than edge mill in front of that curb and gutter and lower the pavement, what we'll do is we'll feather that 1.5 inches thickness to almost nothing at the gutter lip, and then it'll be 1.5 inches higher at the crown. And so, yes, we've looked at that and considered that very problem.
Okay.
Pardon?
No, that's not bad.
That's not, no, ma'am.
Councilwoman Thomas. Okay. Well, seeing no further lights, will you, let's see, we did. Okay, all right. Going to make sure we did this time. Please vote. Okay, thank you. And finally, item number H, consider an ordinance of the City of Duncanville, Texas, amending the operating budget for the fiscal year 2015-2016 by allocating general fund balance to fund the unbudgeted amount of $260,000 for street maintenance contractual services, that the balance of the operating budget as amended, except as amended herein, shall be in full force and effect, authorizing the city manager to make adjustments provided for the repeal of all ordinance in conflicts, providing a severability clause, and providing an effective date. Richard.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. As I wrapped up the 2015 budget and looked at the actuals, how we actually finished the year, I saw that we finished with about 1.3 million above where we had budgeted for fiscal year 15. And so when I looked at the breakdown of that, it was almost split evenly between additional revenues above what we had budgeted and expenditures coming in under budget. And so when I further investigated what caused the expenditures to be under budget, I noticed that Public Works was about $400,000 under budget. And then further investigation revealed that because of this overlay program not being executed, that the street department was the primary contribution to that expenditure being under budget. So again, these are reallocation of existing fund balance, and it is fits very well within our budget. I also calculated the $260,000, that approximately 3.79 days of operations, and we had targeted and budgeted for 75 days fund balance at the end of 2015. We ended with 94 days, so 3.79 days is minuscule in the grand scheme of things.
Okay, further questions? Chair will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Motion and a second. Will you please vote? Thank you very much. There being no further agenda items, listed for tonight. We stand adjourned at 9:14.